Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview. I know I did.
Yeah.
Lots to take away
I
from it,
hate
but
I hate listening to myself. So
okay. So yeah, fantastic stuff. And we've still got a number of colleagues online, and I just need to get rid of this thing on my screen so I can see the chat. Because there was a lot coming in, I noticed during the interview. So I guess just the sort of some of the housekeeping stuff. One of the questions was, will it be posted on YouTube? The answer is yes. I believe it's actually already on the conference YouTube channel. I will put the link in the chat once Bill starts answering one of the other questions. Um, let me just go from the top. So yeah, we've covered off when the book is going to be written. Um, so one from you can probably see these, Bill. One from Julie Knox. Autonomy of faculty is a key element. Faculty member who just returned to the classroom after 15 years described his first month back in the classroom as joyful. He's relishing the freedom once again. Um, you've already touched on that in the interview, but Julie's looking for some help with the faculty. What's in it for me?
yeah, I think that's something that's going to be critically important, we believe, to really help faculty get on board. Um, basically, faculty members want to be seen as good faculty members, as good teachers. Bob Emiliani had this great exercise where he asked students, alumni, to identify who are your best teachers. And over a variety of universities, years, and whatnot, a student or an alumni of a university would typically mention maybe 3 to 4 faculty. Now, given that most students take about 43 credit courses, at least that's the way it works in the United States, that means about 10% of the faculty are seen as great teachers, have made a real difference in the student's life after graduation. 10%. So as Bob points out, if that isn't a call to action, I don't know what is. So I think many faculty would look for an opportunity to be one of those teachers. And higher education should strive to be, 25% of the faculty remembered or 50% of the faculty are remembered. So I think just being a good teacher is important to a faculty member, but probably not enough. So what's also in it for them is creating some efficiency and effectiveness in their teaching. We alluded to, if you can do something in a more standardized way, you're getting less questions from the students. The students are doing better on your exams, so you have to provide less feedback, less time providing feedback. Anything that frees up a faculty member's time, and let's say, we can save faculty members through improvements in their teaching 2 or 3 hours a week, just hypothetically 2 or 3 hours a week, that's 2 or 3 hours a week they can reinvest in something that maybe is important to them. They've got this free time available. Maybe it goes into their research and scholarship. Maybe it goes into their community engagement. Maybe it goes back into their teaching. But we want to give them something back. So in addition to a better reputation, better teaching evaluations, which affects maybe their raise or promotion or recognition as a university teacher, giving the faculty things that they like is important in helping move continuous improvement into their world.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bill. And the next question, there's a couple on the sort of the different role that academics, faculty, staff play. So teaching, research, what was it, the triple role of service, the administrative stuff. So in terms of the book, how does it cover all those different elements, aspects of a faculty role?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it was something that Vincent and I struggled with early on. We could, in my lean book, I talked about how can we do lean in the classroom, how can we do lean in service, how can we do lean in research. But there isn't a whole lot of, there's even less work on continuous improvement in research than there is on continuous improvement in teaching and learning. We decided to really limit our focus to teaching. And the reason being is that every university, every college has teaching. Not every college, not every university has a research mission. So we wanted to go where there would be the biggest audience, where we thought would have the biggest impact for a university, is that you have all these teachers. Let's try to get all these teachers doing a better job in the classroom, and the students learning more, and employers being happy with the graduates, and parents being happy with the education their kids get, and society being happy that we've got all these better qualified people out there that are changing the world to make it a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the other thing, and you touched on this in the interview, one of the drivers for doing this in the first place was the fact that probably the service, the administration stuff, that in a sense is already covered, because that's most of the work that we you talked about is in that space.
Yes. All my great colleagues around here and in the community, all of them are doing a wonderful job of practice. Primarily, it's been in academic support or other kinds of important university services, but not directly impacting faculty. And I get it, because it's hard for a continuous improvement professional in higher education to really make inroads into the faculty, because there's not a good opportunity to get them together, to show them what CI is or lean is, whatever you're doing. So we're hoping that this book provides kind of a little bit of a peek or a preview, where a chapter in the book about here's how a faculty member is using continuous improvement to improve their teaching and student learning could help a faculty member say, that's kind of interesting. How does this work? And that provides, again, a foot in the door for the continuous improvement professional to expand CI into the classroom. Hopefully the CI professional, has the bandwidth to do that in addition to all the other responsibilities they have. But boy, wouldn't that be a great thing to be, working in the teaching space?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember a few years back, Vincent came over to visit Strathclyde to do a seminar, and it was a mix of faculty staff and the professional services staff, and it really piqued the interest of the faculty members there. Got them really excited about it, and I think that's, in a sense, certainly my hope that this book may inspire that kind of discussion again, because if we can get that hook into academics, faculty, staff, then we can really work with that. We can build on that momentum and support them to do a lot of the stuff that you were saying with Chris during the interview.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll expand, universities that don't have continuous improvement offices, maybe add those offices, or have them work in partnership with like the Teaching and Learning Center at a university or college. But hopefully it provides more opportunities for growth and continuous improvement. So more professionals in higher education in that regard too.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving off tack a little bit, because there was a comment which I thought I'd come back to, given that you were here. So Bob had suggested Hoshin. He hasn't seen it executed in HE effectively yet. So that was a previous book, not this one. Any examples that you've seen? Is Bob right? Are there any that you've seen out there that are working well?
Bob's probably closer to right, but in the book, which is an edited book that I co-edited with Tammy Sinha, there are a number of universities that used it to develop their strategic plans. And I was in my administrative position at Bowling Green at the time. I led our strategic planning process, a university-wide strategic planning process. And my president allowed me to use the Hoshin Conway framework for doing that. So there's at least one kind of example of how we did it. But Hoshinkanri is more than strategy development. It's strategy implementation and then strategy management. So there are chapters in the book which all talk a little bit about some pieces of that, and together I think you can get a sense of how you can do Hoshinkanri in higher education. So it has Bob's right, very limited applications to
Yeah,
date.
yeah, indeed. So you also mentioned the notion of paying it forward in the interview, which I'm a big fan of, and I think that's an ethos that's prevalent in Lean HE. That's kind of what we do. You share selflessly, and hopefully others benefit from it, and then they pass on their wisdom as well. What more can we do as a wider community? Because there's a number of us here today, but also the recording will be seen by a lot more people as well. So what can we do as a global Lean HE community to support the work that you and Vincent are embarking on?
Well, I think in some ways people already have, because we've looked at the research that's out there, and again we've got maybe a dozen, 15 studies that we could find, either published or at conferences where it was really continuous improvement or lean being used to improve teaching and learning. But anybody who is listening, if you've got some examples at your university or college of where continuous improvement is being used in the classroom, or to influence, to improve what's happening in the classroom, please email Vincent or myself, and we'd love to include those examples in the book and refer to them. And to your point, the whole reason I was able to write my book on lean higher education, because everybody who was doing it was sharing, said, here's something I have, here's a format that I have, here's an example that I have, let me tell you about what we do at our university. That's what made the book work. I feel like an imposter because I was taking everybody else's work and pulling it together. So this community, to your point, John, is just so generous in sharing, and I think I know that will continue into the future. So I hope so. If you have anything you can share with me, please do. I'd be delighted.
Excellent. And on that note, I've just put into the chat, because during the interview you referenced the work by Heather and Nicola, formerly of Strathclyde, but their work, stands the test of time, and it is freely available on the Strathclyde website. So I've put that in the chat for people to access as well.
Right.
I think, and I don't think we've got any more questions, unless anyone wants to put their hand up and have a quick chat with Bill.
You can come back in 12 hours and I'll do it again. So if you think of a question between now and then.
Well, I tell you what, Bill, you have again, selflessly, you're making yourself available throughout this conference. I mean, it is going almost back to back for 48 hours. So really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Yep, and lots of thanks coming in as well from the chat. So I'm going to just wrap up then, and in the spirit of this being a 24-hour, 48-hour thing, sorry. I think the next session starts in roughly 4 hours' time. So I am handing back the baton to our colleagues in Australia, who are kicking off in 4 hours' time, which will be around about 7:30 in the morning for them. So lots of great content. Again, it's I think kicking off with Tony Nava from UC San Diego, who is an absolutely fantastic presenter. So if you are around for that, I would very much encourage you to do that. It does feel, for those of you old enough to remember this, it feels a bit like Live Aid, where we're passing over from the UK to Australia to the US. I think Phil Collins is revving up in Concord as we speak to travel over to Philadelphia. So it's a fantastic effort that's been put on by our colleagues in Asia Pacific. So, and there's more sessions, throughout the night for me, but also into tomorrow as well. So, it's there for you to access as many of those as you're able to do so. So, not going to keep you any longer. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks again to Bill, and hopefully see you again at a session over the next day or so.